Welcome to this new Addon Spotlight. In this Addon Spotlight we're gonna look at the b78xh Hotel add-on, which means that it's the new heavy division Boeing 787 cockpit. It has been released yesterday, right, the new version of it, and that brings the version to version 0.1.11. And the good thing is that the most important fix there is, it's now compatible both with sim update number 6 and sim update number 7. So where will you find most changes? Well, most changes you will find in this part of the aircraft, which is the flight management computer, the FMC, right? I'm saying it correctly, flight management computer. Yes, I say it correctly. Sometimes I'm mixing up abbreviations. And what they did with this one, they made so much changes, but we will look at, I would say, the most important ones. And one of them is the way that they, let's say, changed the design, right? You can see it looks a little bit different compared to how it previously looked like. I'm not sure if this, I would say, if a Boeing 787 really looks like this, because we would expect that the buttons would look more like this. But I would say it still is a very useful system, right? If this mimics the Boeing 787 FMC. So one of the changes which they made is specifically in the heavy division. In the heavy division, you already had the option to check, okay, hey, what's the IRS status, but also to set the, I would say, realistic timing, right? Does it happen, the IRS, is it aligning directly, or does it take some time? And if we're talking about the IRS aligning, I mean these buttons, right? If you switch them on, it's gonna say figure out the position of the aircraft, and in real time that also takes some time. There's also now a new button here which is forcing the alignment, so you can force the alignment if needed. Then you've got the payload manager, and the payload manager is simply for the requested values and the actual values, right? That's for the weight of the aircraft, etc. So we're not gonna discuss that too much. Then we've got the LNAV debug information, and that's more for, I would say, troubleshooting purposes. So we're not gonna use it. And here we have got the configuration. And the configuration is interesting because there are some changes here, right? So you can change from imperial to metric, right? The green ones are the active ones. And also the SimBrief navigate or configuration has changed, because you can now say, okay, hey, I want to import route only with SID. You can say, okay, I want to import it with stars. You can select either yes or no. And you can, route only is the top one, then with SIDs is here, and then with stars is here, right? So you can see that these options are by default set to yes, and the route only is set to no. Then you've got the import strategy, and that sometimes is important. For example, if you're not using SimBrief but want to use the built-in flight planner, then this becomes important. Then you can change the import strategy, right? So now the SimBrief is active, and then in-game, and also it's in-game, and then SimBrief. It's unclear if it's, I would say, both, but let's try this one for now, because we just have added a plan using SimBrief. Other than that, I do think that most options are the same, although they say that they did a lot of work behind the scenes, which we probably don't see. That SimBrief imported one, that's, I would say, one of the newest things which they added, which is cool because it's, let's say, useful if you can both import the flight plan from within the game but also from external. And probably most of us will, I would say, use the external one because it's pretty popular. Route, right? You can check the route but also request the route, and then you have the options to load from SimBrief. Then it will show you a nice message here. It will show you all the imports and the progress. And I think this is something which is really nice, because then you can at least see, okay, hey, what is it doing, right? It's not simply loading it and then showing it at once. It does show a lot. And the other nice thing is that it both imports the payload but also the fuel blocks. So everything you need is already set up for you. which is really cool. The only thing which isn't set up is the alternative route, I think, because the button is not active here. And also there's no option to report and to print, right? So the only thing you can do is activate it and then hit the execute button. And then everything should be set, because now you can see the departure and the arrival, which is cool. Other than that, what did they change? They changed the speed director, the econ speed, no longer block selected speed, right? That's what you find here. Here you've got the option to set the speed to make sure that you're using the auto throttle option. And the rendering of the waypoints on ND changed, and running of constraints on ND changed, which is really like here. Those are, let's say, shown better, so that's also a nice fix. Besides that, there is a fix for the better position of the waypoint icons on the ND, which is here. ND stands for navigation display, for those who are unaware of that. And they fixed the date on the aux display. I think this is the aux display, but I'm not 100% sure, because it could also be this one, to be honest. So that's something I also need to figure out, what the display is, what they are referring to. One of the last items that they fixed is the standard barometer button. And the standard barometer button, you will find it here, right? You can switch it to IN or HPA, that's the barometer units, but you can also press it now to set the barometric pressure. And the last item which has been fixed is the reversed external power buttons. And what they mean with that is, if you look here, you will find the forward left and forward right, and it looks like that they were mixed up, but hey, that's nice that they fixed it. Say not critical for me, but good to see it's fixed. So a lot of fixes in this latest edition of the Boeing 78xh, which brings up the version to 0.1.11. So it's time for flying, right? But that's for another time, because this was only to look at what they changed in the cockpit. Hope you liked this video. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you've got questions or comments, then feel free to post them in the comment box below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.